Lumbi. Joining me via Skype from Jerusalem, Gerald Steinberg, director of NGO Monitor, a watchdog that monitors non-governmental organizations for anti-Israel bias. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Mr. Steinberg, a question to you. Israel prominently mentioned in that report. It doesn't sound good about Israel. It doesn't look good about Israel. You know, and at this point in time, it's safe to say that it's also a report that has mentioned Israel in the past. Would you say that this is entirely unfair towards the country?
Well, I think it's worse than unfair. Amnesty's an organization that's in a deep crisis. There are lots of internal fights. They've lost a lot of members. They've lost credibility, and they're still obsessing over Israel. You look at what's going on in Syria. You look at many other parts of the world in Africa. You look at the terrible violations of human rights. And yet, this report reflects the ongoing, not just the obsession that Amnesty has with Israel.
I know, but Mr. Steinberg, is there any point, and let me play devil's advocate because that's what we're here for. Is there any point for Israel to look internally and at the end of the day, internationally, legally, so to speak, Israel is an occupying force in the West Bank, okay? It's also still involved in Gaza. So it has certain responsibilities in those areas, so to speak. And apparently it's not meeting its responsibilities. Isn't it the world's, and Amnesty, and groups like Amnesty, responsibility to, you know, highlight that so something can be done to change it?
We have a lot of debates within Israel. We have a lot of court discussions and cases that are brought up. There are governmental discussions. There's Knesset discussions. I think all of those are at a much higher quality than this bogus report that Amnesty threw together. If you read, what is it, 6 or 7 pages just on Israel and the OPT, even the terminology here is a terminology that has no legal background. There is no such thing as an occupied Palestinian territory. You talk about occupied territories.
No, what do you mean there is no such thing as occupied territory?
The OPT term is artificial, but that's not the main issue here.
I mean, the bulk of, not just the UN, but the bulk of many world leaders would argue differently.
Well, they're wrong in terms of, if they want to call it international law, they're wrong. It's one of those slogans that's been adopted politically, but let's not go. That's not the critical issue here. The critical issue is if you read every sentence that I have of the Amnesty, of this Amnesty report and all the other Amnesty reports, there's no evidence here. They're not citing any source. They're not looking at the details. It's all thrown together. They're talking in here about the Navi Marmara still from 2010 and the Gaza War of 2014. They're talking about collective punishment. They're talking about
well, they're talking also about both sides. They're faulting both Israel and the Palestinian leadership of Hamas, or, you know, the terrorist group Hamas. They're faulting everybody. You know, they're saying everybody's wrong. But, you know, who knows?
90% of it's Israel. It's unlawful killings and it's torture. Then the headline that was in one of the newspapers talking about
Mr. Steinberg, we could continue. No, I know we could continue this forever. I want to thank you, but as we said, Amnesty, one of the main things of that report is actually the us versus them mentality that people need to watch out for. We'll be right back.